Hey there, kings and queens. Welcome back to another episode of Faith Helps Podcast. Y'all, we are leaving 2025 and we are booking it into 2026. Happy New Year's to you guys. I know it's not the new year yet, but I wanted to welcome you guys into the new year because this will be the last podcast episode of 2025. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. So, real quick recap. 2024, we talked about what it means to emerge. 2025, we talked about what it means to show up. And throughout this year, you guys have seen me show up. I've heard your stories about how you have shown up for your families, for your jobs, for your careers, for yourself. Most importantly, and most importantly, how you've been showing up for your relationship with God. And now 2026, I've shared this with you guys before as a reminder. The word that God gave me going into 2026 is thrive. I know some of y'all was 2025 thrive, but the Lord told me 2026 is thrive. And I'm holding on to that word. I'm excited for all that word is going to mean. And I'm also excited to close this chapter of 2025. So in honor of closing this chapter, I wanted to reintroduce myself. My name is, Going into 2026, I feel like God has been telling me a lot more about being way more intentional and specific with not just my prayer life, but how I am pursuing things and how I am continuing to be intentional on how I'm initiating some of the next steps that I need to take in order to get to the levels that He's taking me on, not just like elevation, but just closer relationship with Him and closer alignment to the purpose that He has placed me on this earth for. With that being said, going into 2026, starting with today, number one, as you guys see, if you're watching this right now, the podcast is moving to Tuesdays at 11 a.m. I know a few of you guys were voting for Fridays. It was a lot of different things that was just not working out there. But the biggest reason why I chose Tuesdays at 11 a.m. is as I was doing my research, doing homework, and consulting with a few people, Tuesdays was the best day for dropping podcasts from what we were seeing. And then the most engagement time was between 10 a.m. and I think it was like 2 p.m. And so I went for 11 a.m. like just as you guys are about to go to lunch or whatever you're doing in your life. Depending on where you are in the world, because I know I have a few international followers. So you guys go ahead and drop in the comments and let me know Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. on Tuesdays. What are you typically doing? And how do you guys feel about the time? It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to change it, but I am going to take it into consideration as I watch how engagement changes, improves, drops, dips, elevates, whatever. And then number two, I want to take in some of the feedback that you guys have given me and be way more focused as you guys have requested. I know sometimes I go on tangents. I can't promise I'm not going to, because sometimes I just get on a roll. And sometimes, I'm not going to say every time, but a lot of those times it's things that the Lord is revealing to me as like on-site revelation. I think it's called theomnesis. I think that applies to the book of the word. But sometimes I start rambling because I'm excited about what I'm talking about and new insights are coming to me on the spot. And then other times I'm just rambling, like when I do my song segues and tell y'all stories that y'all didn't ask for. But some of y'all love it. I love you guys. So I'm going to continue to be my authentic self, but I do want to be a lot more focused in what I'm bringing to you guys, because as I've said before, time is so valuable. You don't get it back, and I'm not going to take for granted that you guys are giving me your time. So moving forward, the episodes might look a little different. I always told you guys that Faith Helps Podcast is about bridging the gap between faith and psychology and showing you how you can live a healthier life mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, professionally, and relationally. but also how you can apply God's word to your life and to your circumstances, and how it can improve your life, how you can improve yourself and continue to be the best version of yourself. And by best version, you guys already can say it with me, that God version of yourself that he has always created and intended you to be. With that being said, you will be seeing me, as I kind of started doing towards the end of 2025 anyway, pulling in scripture a little bit more. I'm going to have a book right here. So I hope that you got your book with you. And then also being a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more streamlined and structured in how I'm presenting the information to you guys. So I'm not going to change who I am. I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to be goofy and silly sometimes, but I do want to be a little bit more focused. With that being said, we're going to jump right into it, because your girl was in Exodus. Again, I was in Exodus. Exodus. You see the notes? I be in my word, baby. Listen, something that stood out to me is the fact that we are leaving 2025, so it seemed only right that we would revisit Exodus, the exit. Get it? Exit out of Egypt, Exodus. All right. Anyway, I'm in Exodus 40. And for those of you who have read through Exodus, you know it is very, like, chapter, I want to say it starts right around chapter 37. Nope. A little further, around chapter 35-ish. We start going into a lot of detail of the construction of the Ark of the Covenant, the veil, the temple, basically. And one of the things that stood out to me throughout all of this, it goes into so many details. We start off with the Ark of the Covenant and how that was placed, and the veils and the curtains being hung and the table and the lampstand, and then into the incense and the altar. And then it goes into a lot of detail, the altar of burnt offering in the courtyard, and the priests being washed and clothed and anointed. And then finally, God's presence dwells with them. And what that showed me is that God establishes access before he gives activity. And so to kind of break that down, I'm going to say it again. God establishes access before activity. There were a set of instructions that they were given to build the tabernacle, to build the ark, the veils, the covenant. It was very, very specific. Unless you're an architect, unless you're in architecture, you probably found it quite tedious to read all of those sentences and how many times it says, as the Lord commanded, and all these little details, and shekel, and 3 cubits of this. And it was a lot. And what it showed me is that though it may feel like that was just like a lot of detailed information, it served a purpose. Because before God came to dwell with them, he created a space. They had to create a space for him. You see, going into 2026, there are things that you're probably praying for and you're asking for, but have you created space for it? So if you're asking for God to be more present in your life, how have you created space for God to come and dwell with you? You see, God is saying, prepare a place for me and I will come dwell with you. For those of you who, I'm bringing back in the day a little bit. If you remember, it was a horror movie, and the catchphrase in the horror movie, I don't watch horror movies anymore, but obviously you can see it scarred me because I still remember it. But they said, if you build it, they will come. And taking that, flipping it to biblical application, if you build it, God will come. God said, prepare a place for me, build it. I will come, I will dwell among you. Some of us are praying for God's presence, but we haven't made space for him. So one of the things that I shared with you guys is that I recently cleaned out, got rid of so many clothes so that I could create a war room. In other words, a prayer closet. And this was ignited because I realized in my prayer time that I had a corner. I had spaces for God. I pray anywhere. I'd be walking through the house and then break out in prayer if the Holy Spirit is just filling me or moving me to do such. But I was feeling God telling me that, baby girl, it's time to like grow up a little bit. Like, we're going on a new level, and I need a new level of intimacy with you. I need a new level of commitment with you. And so I need a specific space, just like you would set up this space for a podcast or set up a classroom to learn things, to fulfill a task or activity. You need that type of intentionality in your relationship with me. And I took it and I ran with it, took everything out of the closet, set up my entire closet, and it's somewhere in my shorts if you want to see it. And it wasn't nothing fancy. It was just, I want to commit this space to my time with you, Lord. Not just a corner, a prayer corner as I had in my apartment. I want to commit a room, a space, an intimate space for you. And as we draw near to God, he draws near to us. And the requirement is simply that you create space for it. How does this apply to your real life, not just your spiritual life? If you want peace, you have to create peace for it. A lot of people were saying that 2025 put them through the ringer. Some of you are saying that you barely survived 2025. A lot of you are saying that you lost your mind, you lost your hope, you lost your sanity throughout 2025. Going into 2026, baby, you're going to need to be intentional about creating a space for sanity, peace, serenity, joy. What does that look like? I want you to look around your environment. There are probably a lot of things that are taking more away from you than they're contributing. That clutter that you keep stepping over and that corner that you keep ignoring, that you know you need to clean out, all that stuff you stuffed in the closet, the attic that you haven't cleaned out, it's taking away from your peace. It's taking away from your serenity. That job application that you keep putting off and not doing, it's taking away from your peace. You know what anxiety is? And it's at its like most simplest form, anxiety is the result of not taking some type of action. Oftentimes, anxiety is telling you to do something, whether that's run or panic or be afraid or get something done. If you look at it, 9 times out of 10, your anxiety is trying to get you to do something. And so the more we put off things, the more we procrastinate, the more we avoid, the more we are allowing it to manifest and grow and become and to exacerbate our symptoms, right? So going into 2026, start with just your basic environment. Is your environment set up for peace, or is there chaos around you? What does the environment of your relationships look like? Do you have relationships that you're about to bring into 2026? That's why I'm so glad this message is coming before the new year. Do you have relationships in your life that are taking away from your peace, taking away from your salvation? They're pulling you further away from God. Are there relationships in your life that are taking away from your sense of safety? And you need to remove those people. You need to cut them off. You need to eliminate their access to you so that you can create space for God's presence, so that you can create space for serenity and safety and security. You have to create space. You see, there's a verse in the Bible that talks about when the demons are cast out of a person, a human. They go to wander in a dry place, but then they come back and find the human, the body, the host, if you will, clean but empty. You're not full of anything. So they come back and return. They find we can just move right back in. That's how we get squatters in our community. The space is clear. It's no one here. It's not being guarded or protected. It hasn't been filled with any type of sense or presence of occupancy. Let's just go ahead and move in and chill out here. Spirits do the same thing. The spirit of depression, the spirit of fear, the spirit of anxiety, all of those things move right back in. So when you're removing people or things that are taking away from your sanity, your peace, your mental health, your sense of security, what are you building in the place of those things? You see, If you want more peace, okay, we have removed the clutter that was taking away from our peace. But now I'm setting up a meditation corner. Okay, maybe I'm setting up a nook with books that I'm going to start reading, and I'm going to create a new habit of reading and educating myself. If you're removing a toxic friendship or toxic group of friends or whatever, you don't just remove those people and then start doing life solo dolo. That's not safe. That's not even safe, literally. You need to have people in your corner and in your community. If you're looking for those type of people, stretch beyond your immediate surroundings. Start making connections with people. We have the World Wide Web, baby. Yes, it's not always safe, but you can start making connections with other people and grow, and not just grow healthy relationships, but start nurturing them. Because a lot of what you get out of a relationship is what you're putting into it. So if you're saying you want godly community, for example, you want some godly sisters, then where are you going to find them? 9 times out of 10, they're probably not going to be out in the club at 1 in the morning. And that's not a judgment. It's just the facts. Our priorities are set up differently. I used to be out there and I love God, but I was certainly not preaching to nobody when I was out there. I prayed with him, but I wasn't discipling nothing. Right? So if you're saying, okay, I want godly community. Yes, I know. Church hurt. A lot of people have tried to go to church and make friends, and they felt ostracized. I'm sorry. Try a different one. When you go to a bad restaurant, you get bad service. Do you write off all restaurants, or do you just go to a different one? I'll wait. Say what? Yeah, that's what I thought. You try a different restaurant. The same thing with a church. If one church doesn't fit, you find a different church. I don't want to hear that you've tried every church. You haven't. So even if there isn't a physical one, I joined a couple years ago. I was a part of Transformation Church, with Pastor Mike Todd, shout him out. I joined one of their small groups and I loved it. Unfortunately, as I started having changes in my schedule, I wasn't able to continue to meet with them then over the next semesters. But I loved being a part of that community. I loved getting to see things have the breakthroughs that they got to have in their lives as we was praying for each other. And we made strong connections and we made strong relationships. How they encouraged me, held each other accountable. And we didn't just talk about Bible all the time. We also talked about how we are applying the word of God to our lives, what God is telling us, and how we can have faith for what God is telling us, even when maybe our immediate family is not supportive of that. Or maybe you're in an environment that doesn't look like what you're believing God is telling you about your life and about your identity. So you have access, and it was free. And Transformation Church is not the only church doing it. You can find other churches that are doing this. So get rid of the excuses and start stretching yourself beyond your comfort zone. If you want something different in your life, you have to make different decisions, choices, and steps. You have to move differently. If you want something better, you have to move better. You have to plan better. You have to execute better. Okay? Planning is just half of it. You have to execute it at some point. If you are saying, okay, I want to be healthier, I want to create more space to be a healthier and stronger, physically stronger person. Okay, what is taking away from that in your current environment or in your current habits? Is it self-loathing that you need to replace that with some more positive affirmations? Is it your schedule? You need to clear out some things out of your schedule. Maybe instead of spending an hour watching TV, start off small. You start off with 15, 20 minutes of exercise. You can Google or search on YouTube Nike workouts, and they have 15-minute workouts that are simple. You don't got to go at their same pace. Just get your body moving so that you can start filling that space with healthier habits and healthier activities. You'll also sleep better. So I say all this to say and encourage you that as you're going into 2026, ask yourself, what am I creating space for in 2026? What do I want to open up my capacity for? If I'm wanting more of God, what space am I creating for him? Not just a physical space, but in your time, in your schedule, in your mind. How often are you thinking on him and his word? How often are you just walking down the street and you just say, hey, God, like, I'm trying to get closer to you, but I don't really know how. That's a prayer that gets through. Right there, that it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be neat, it doesn't have to be fancy. You just state what's already on your heart. Because as you start to confess those things, God sees your heart changing and your desire for him will start to grow. It's a fascinating thing that happens. Once you start speaking that thing, baby, you start having an appetite for it. And once the appetite is there, the thought process and the behaviors start to flow. You start to naturally start seeking out opportunities to feed that appetite. But you want to be mindful of what appetite you're feeding. Create the space for godly appetite. Create the space for healthy appetite. For things that are nurturing you, inspiring you, building you, encouraging you. Spend your time, instead of binge watching Love is Blind, when half the time they're not. I had a moment, I'm speaking on my own conviction right now. I was watching Love is Blind. I love that show. And then one day while I was watching it, I had what felt like, I call it what it is, checking myself. I had conviction to not watch it. And God was speaking to me in that moment. I'm like, God, it's just a show. Like, I ain't go on the show. He's like, but it's normalizing to people that it's okay to skip the order he had for marriage. That you propose, we go on a honeymoon, then we go to an altar. That's not how it's done. You propose, get married, then we go on a honeymoon. So it's normalizing sex before marriage. And that tends to be the big topic. Yes, some of the characters don't engage in sex and they openly talk about that, but many of them do. What is that doing to our society? What is that saying to our young women and our young men growing up? Oh, okay, it's cool. Like, you have sex whenever. I can give my body, my temple away whenever without covenant. And so I had the conviction to stop watching it. And I use that as an example because you may have some different convictions. You may have some different things that God is highlighting to you and putting at the forefront of your mind. And you need to remove them. Just as I started removing my time from watching that, I started replacing it with, oh, okay, this is a educational game I can play. Because I love learning about money. So I started watching these games online that you can interact with. And I like love it. Basically addicted to it. It's so fun. And I'm learning so much. I started watching new podcasts. I started watching Lecrae the Deep End. I watched them here and there. I'm like, let me see. I started watching Keep It Positive, Sweetie. That's one of the biggest things. I've replaced the time that I was, would, sit on the side and watch Love is Blind. Keep it positive, sweetie. And so whatever you're removing as you're exiting 2025, be mindful of what you're replacing it with. Be mindful of the spaces that you're creating for what you're asking for. If you're asking for success, are you creating space for personal development? If you're asking for a more positive mindset, are you creating space to do mental rehearsal over things that are going to inspire you, cultivate a growth mindset over a prisoner mindset? If you are asking for more courage in 2026, are you creating space and building space in your life to do the scary things? To start the business, to write the book, to join the community support group, to volunteer at that organization, to submit the adoption paperwork. If you're asking for more courage, you need to be doing things that are going to create space for that, space for you to take steps of courage, to go skydiving. And that may seem like, oh no, but you'd be so surprised when you do stuff like that and it builds your courage in so many other areas of your life. Because then you'll start going like, dang, if I can skydive, I can do this. Now, I ain't saying I'm skydiving. That's shit. I'm talking, this your business. I ain't say nothing about courage for me. That's your business, okay? But I use it as an example. Do things that are going to push you outside of your comfort zone. In 2026, I know that if I want to thrive, I'm going to have to start stepping out of my comfort zone. I'm going to have to start pushing myself to create space for the things that I'm praying for. If you're praying for financial freedom, are you creating space for financial wisdom and stewardship and insight? Are you creating time in your schedule and building out a schedule that accommodates you learning about finances, learning about bank accounts, learning about savings accounts, learning about investments, learning about trading, learning about financial literacy? Create the space for what you're praying for. That is my encouragement for you as you're going into 2026 and you piecing out 2025. I believe in you guys so much. I love you guys so much. I'm not just sitting here doing this for fun. It is fun, but I'm doing it because I really do believe in you. I really do want the best for you, and I know God has so much in store for you. We about to go into 2026, and we about to turn up. All right, we about to grow up. We about to glow up. We about to thrive. All right. Now, I hope that this blesses you. I love you guys, and as always, remember, faith helps.